Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art.
The stage, the podium, the platform, no matter what you call it, if you've attended church regularly, you've seen it. And as a child, for me, I had this preconceived notion of what it meant to stand on that stage. See, I thought that pastors and worship leaders were blameless, sinless, perfect people sent by God to teach the rest of us, and that you had to wear a suit, a tie, and that you had to always be perfect. I never would have imagined as a child that I would be worthy of standing on a stage like this one. And I definitely didn't know that God's plan for me would find me here on a weekly basis, right in the center of this stage. Trash, filth. For so many years of my life, that's how I would have described myself and my situation. See, I made so many mistakes as a young adult that there was a big disconnect for me in church. See, I put these leaders on such a pedestal that I thought there was nothing I had in common with them, and it really affected my walk with God and my church attendance. Once I realized that I wanted to be a rock star, all the things that I thought went with that became a big part of my life. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll became a way of life for me. Adultery, pornography, sex addiction, a big Pandora's box that I'd opened up for myself. And my relationship with God really suffered. And as I worked on my dream of becoming a rock and roll singer, I never gave God any credit for any of those gifts or talents that He had given me.
We are made in the image of God. Yeah, that's where the light comes from.
I never stopped believing in God, but there was a long time that I didn't believe God could ever use me. I reached a real low in my personal life, and I needed God. I knew that. And I lost my pride, and I cried out for His help. I begged God to give me another chance, to help me through my situation. And God did just that. God gave me an opportunity to meet some new people. And through those people, I was given an opportunity to not only attend church, but to be a part of church, to play guitar, to sing backup in the church band. Without that opportunity, I can't say whether or not I would have stayed in attendance. It meant that much to me. One of the relationships that I built at that church was with the pastor, who's still a great friend of mine today. And I found out something about him that really shook me. He used to be an atheist. I thought, wow, this guy that's leading me, that's speaking life into me and this congregation and this community, this guy that's ushering in the Spirit of the Lord in this place, leading songs and preaching these awesome messages. There was a time where he didn't even believe that God existed. But God can use him. God spoke to me clearly through that. And God showed me that He could use me as well. In a matter of a few weeks, I went from performing on the stage to realizing that God was calling me into a life of worship ministry. Called to be a worship leader. The only problem was I had no idea what that meant. See, God had given me a personality that people could like, and He had given me all these musical gifts and talents. But that's a very small part of what it takes to be a worship leader. And for several years after I received my calling, God was still speaking into my life and helping me grow. but no opportunity was arising for a leadership position. And I would cry out to God and say, Lord, why would you give me this calling and not present an opportunity for me to realize it? Luckily, God had patience with me. Several people and several churches didn't have the same patience. My reputation preceded me, and it was kind of hard to find a position and a church that was willing to give me that opportunity. But God worked it out. God presented a relationship with a pastor that would one day need a worship leader and would know my story and would be willing to take a chance on me. God continues to speak to me weekly through prayer, through service, through His Word. You see, I realized God had been speaking to me all along. I just didn't hear. No matter where you're at today, no matter what you've done, I stand here with my background as a worship leader at an awesome church that's making a difference, that God is using for His glory and for our good, that He's changing lives and having miracles and breakthroughs happen in all the time. I'm so blessed to be a part of that, and it's all because of God's plan and nothing that I have done. So no matter where you're at and what your past looks like, I want you to realize God is always speaking to us. The only variable is how often we're willing to listen.
Make it big. Come on, make it big right now. I want to celebrate who God is tonight. God is a transforming God. God can use me in my life and who I've been and what I've done. He can use you. God's got a plan for you and for your life, and He deserves your worship tonight.